The following is a presentation of the Black Hollywood Live Network, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. Hollywood Redefined. From Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is Black Hollywood Live, Black Sports Weekly, featuring weekly in-depth interviews with some of today's most talked about athletes. Black Hollywood Live, Hollywood Redefined.
You're listening to Black Hollywood Live.
And now, the host of Black Hollywood Live, Black Sports Weekly.
Hey! There we go.
Oh, yeah. Such a good intro song.
Man. Woo! Come on.
We just want to break it down because it's been such a good week of sports.
I'm telling you, I feel like I can run a 40 in about 4 seconds. What's up, sports fans? Welcome to another exciting show of Black Sports Weekly. And woo, was this a week of sports or what? Well, if you were not paying attention this week or were living under a rock this week and had no idea what was going on in sports, this is a good reason, and we're so glad that you tuned in into this because we're going to bring you everything. First things first, thank you for joining me. I am your host, Kevin John, and joining me is the lovely, the incomparable, the beautiful, the straight out of the UK, the one, the only, Miss Charlotte. Charlotte, how you doing?
You. I'm good. How are you? That was lovely. Thanks for making my day.
I try. You know, it's the least I can do, right? Yeah, but Charlotte, you know, this week not one of the greatest, just I guess, buzzworthy weeks in sports.
It was, and it's always great to see the players off the field on the red carpet dressed up. Because and sometimes it's hard to recognize them because it's like with a helmet on, it's like, you look a lot different right now. Is that you?
By the way, she's talking about the ESPYs awards because obviously that took place on Wednesday of this week. So you're right. You know, some of them you couldn't even recognize because you're used to seeing them with gear on and sweating and not, you know, clean cut and dapper.
Exactly.
So,
it's nice to see a different side of them, and it's also nice to talk to them off the field and get a different perspective. Because after the game, when they're interviewed, you get one side, you just get about the game.
Or if you get Richard Sherman, you get someone screaming like an animal after the game.
Yeah,
exactly.
But then when you're on the red carpet, it's a different feel. They're more laid back. They're more relaxed. They can have fun because this isn't, they're kind of stepping out of their comfort zone, but they're able just to enjoy.
Exactly. Now, you talk a little bit about, you know, seeing them off the field on the red carpet. What athlete do you think was looking pretty good to you, was looking dapper?
I thought at the ESPYs, the Auburn football team looked amazing.
Oh, so just all of them?
All of them. They all had the Auburn colors on, whether it was the tie. I loved, 2 of them were wearing the brown shoes. Brown shoes with a blue suit. You can't beat it. You really can't. That like tan brown. That you guys wear, I don't know. I'm not a
thinking
guy.
Blue shoes, tan suit, brown, what?
It's a good look for the Auburn players. The ones that there was 2 of them. They had blue suits on with brown shoes, and I love that look. And they had the orange and white tie, and they just looked great. They looked so respectable. They didn't look like college players at all. I mean, these guys are like 6'6", huge guys. You would think they were in the pros. They're ready.
Well,
you know?
That is definitely inevitable for a lot of them. And, you know, someone who I'm sure did not make your list of best dressed was Russell Westbrook. Dear Lord, is Russell Westbrook, is he colorblind or is his personal stylist colorblind?
You know,
because, I mean, it just looked like there was a lot of nonsense and gibberish going on there.
I didn't mind his outfit. He was wearing like a tight, it looked to be some kind of dry fit shirt with suit bottoms, and it was like blue and white spotty, but I really didn't mind it. It's his kind of thing. He always dresses a little bit out of whack, not exactly straight line like everyone else, and I didn't think it was that bad. I think it kind of fit him. It fit his personality. When he got up on stage to receive his award, he just owned it. He owned it, and I also love Victor Cruz. He kind of stepped out of the box as well. I like the athletes that don't just go, because there was a lot of them that just looked great in their suits. And the girls looked good too. They just had pretty dresses on. They looked good, you know, like they're big shouldered, they're muscular. The girls are muscular. That's just what sports people are. But the guys can
Some are scrawny.
Yeah, but a lot of them, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And not no disrespect, but a lot of the guys, they get to be able to kind of step out of that comfort zone, and I like that. Victor Cruz had like 3/4 pants on with leggings underneath.
Well, Victor Cruz is definitely known for being swagged out. I
Yeah.
mean, anyone that salsas in the end zone for a touchdown dance definitely has to have some kind of style grace to them.
Yeah.
Now, going back to Russell Westbrook, the thing that I do admire, I know that I just tore him apart on his fashion choices, but the thing that I admire about Russell is that he is him. He doesn't try to dress and be like anyone else. I mean, it's blatantly obvious that he is him, and I respect anyone that is bold and daring when it comes to fashion.
Yeah.
I wouldn't wear it, but, I tip my hat to him. Now, I guess speaking of the ESPYs, I've seen that we've been on fashion the last 5-10 minutes. Let's talk about some of the more memorable moments of the ESPYs. First of all, Drake as the host. What did you think about Drake?
I really surprisingly loved it. I didn't know what I was going to think, but I think he did a really good job. I loved the banter he had with Blake Griffin. I think it was great. I think it worked well. The Blake and Drake, great Drake and Blake. I just think it worked.
Yeah.
And the way they had other athletes come in and step in and do some stuff on the mic, I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. The part where he sang some songs, I thought was like, kind of skipped through it a little bit. Because I don't know, that didn't really.
That's funny you say
that.
Well, it's because the song was about side pieces, and if you've ever been a side piece, you could have been offended by it. Maybe that's
Well,
what
I haven't.
I'm joking.
But
No, it's funny you say that because funny enough, that was one of my favorite parts of the show was when he went into the song and dance. And it was very vulgar because it's funny. While I was sitting there, because I was sitting next to a female friend and some other, and they were kind of appalled by when they started
Right.
singing. They're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that they're doing this and stuff like that." And it was funny. All of them had that reaction.
it's like the difference between the guy and the girl. The girl doesn't like hearing about side pieces, other girls. Girls just don't like it because they don't like to think that that's what their man could be up to or something like that. Guys are different. They get the humor, the idea of it, but girls don't. And that was me.
And the unfortunate thing is, it's kind of the culture of sports and some particular
Right.
athletes where the side pieces are a prevalent issue.
Yeah.
We've seen it a lot with various athletes. So that's why I just thought it was hilarious how they actually incorporated that into the show and into a song. And how he even called out some players in the song as
Yeah.
well. So I just thought that was genius. I thought it was well written, and that was one of my highlights of Drake hosting.
Yeah.
Was the song, and even Brian McKnight pulling out a R&B superstar to.
Well, yeah, you can't go wrong with that, right? When you
Yeah.
have, and that's,
The ladies did like that part of the song.
Yes. And you're right. It was very well written. Very well written. I didn't know if he was going to do a good job, but he killed it.
He did. I think. And the thing is, Drake was actually an actor prior to becoming a rapper as well.
That's what you could tell. He has that experience.
Exactly.
He's not just, he's an entertainer. That's what he does. He's not just a rapper. And that was very clear because there was you just could tell he was an actor.
Yes.
He's acting. He did a very good job of it. But and I guess I don't necessarily like the fact that he was just acting the whole time. But hey, he did a good job.
Yeah, definitely. He started from the bottom, and he's here.
Yeah.
The ESPYs doesn't get any bigger to that. Now, let's move a little bit further into the show. Let's talk about some of the more, I guess, memorable speeches that we had. We had Michael Sam, who received the Arthur Ashe Courage Award.
Right.
And, for those that do not know, Michael Sam was the first openly gay NFL player college player to declare for the NFL draft. Subsequently, he was drafted in the last round by the St. Louis Rams. I think there was only about 7 or 8 picks left when he was drafted. So
Right. And because it wasn't just that for me. I mean, there was a whole story to this. It was like, a 3-4 minute compilation of his life. And you got to see things like he came from a family, I think there was the 8 kids. And by the time he was 7, I think it was 2 of his brothers were dead. One was in jail. One had gone missing. It's like he's struggled through his whole life. And to see somebody and to get to know that story, that's what I love about award shows like this, because you get to learn more about people, more in depth about their lives, what has brought them to the place that they are in now. And it made me, and I already respect him a lot, but the respect level that I have for him went way up, because just the fact from where he's come from, and football was his outlet, his way to make sure he didn't go down the wrong path, and he stuck with it, and he's just true to himself.
Which I also thought was interesting about the story because, he was raised in a home that was deeply religious. I believe his mother was a Jehovah's Witness. I could be wrong, or Mormon, but at any rate, she did not.
Very religious, yeah.
She was extremely religious, and initially she didn't want him to play football because she believed that was the game of the beast or the devil. And, she did not want him to get involved with it. So he kind of had to disobey his mother's orders. And he did end up playing, which ended up turning out to be the biggest blessing of his life thus far.
Definitely.
And but yeah, just like you, I was, his story was very compelling, his backstory, and
It really was.
just everything that he went through. So then he ends up getting presented with the award. He comes up on the stage and he just gives an amazing speech. What was your thoughts on the speech?
He killed it. He really did. It made everybody once again just feel for him and feel for his journey and what he's been through and where he's come and where everyone else can come from it.
Now, do you think that this right here would be the precipice of more gay athletes, particularly in the NFL, coming out?
I do, yes. I think it potentially can. Do I think there's a lot of athletes in the NFL that are gay? I'm not sure. I think that's where I think if there are players that are gay, then yes, I think it's going to be kind of now we've turned a page and it's okay and it's accepted and he has set the precedent and it's like this is fine, everyone has accepted it. And the fact I loved that he kissed his boyfriend, I loved it. It was just such a great moment because he stands for what he stands for, and that's what we need in an industry, not just in sports but in entertainment. We need people to stand up for who they are. And I think it's going to, I think in general for the entertainment industry, it's turned a page.
It definitely has. I mean, and it's just nice to see how homosexuality has becoming more accepted in sports. We saw Jason Collins, the NBA player from the Brooklyn Nets, was the first player. Well, he came out about a year ago, but he actually played in his first NBA game later in the NBA season, actually against the Lakers. And just to see them make those giant leaps and steps in professional sport, it's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Because, kind of as an African American, I think back 50, 60 years ago, pre-civil rights movement, when blacks were discriminated against and we couldn't play in the major leagues and, and things of that sort. So, I kind of look at the homosexuality thing as a pretty fair comparison, and it's just nice to see us, making efforts and, transitioning. So
definitely,
that was such a good thing. And just to conclude the Michael Sam speech, you kind of pointed on it. I think one of the most beautiful things out of that was not necessarily just about, him being gay and being courageous, but he was just saying, look, whoever you are, whether you're gay, whether you're straight, whether you have a speech impediment, whether you don't walk, whoever you are, embrace who you are.
Exactly.
And so I'm going to embrace my loud, irreverent personality that I have. And
we love it.
Thank you, Charlotte. I love you too.
You make my day when I see you. And you automatically make me smile.
Is that so? Goodness gracious. Well, let me move on because you're going to see a black man blush in a minute. Definitely don't want to see that. All right. So speaking of speeches, another one that was pretty just groundbreaking and inspirational was Stuart Scott.
Yeah.
Stuart Scott is the SportsCenter anchor, and I say the because every SportsCenter anchor that has come after him has in somewhat been influenced or modeled their delivery after Stuart A. Scott. He was one of the first to incorporate hip hop and dope sayings, cool as on the other side of the pillow, and things of that sort. And he was honored. Well, let me go back. He was diagnosed with cancer, a rare form of cancer, actually.
Yeah.
In 2007, and he's been fighting it, I guess, the last 5 or 6 years, and it just kind of documented his journey. So he gets up, gives a speech. Incredible. I mean, there pretty much was not a dry eye in there.
Yeah,
Charlotte,
I cried.
What was it? Yeah.
I cried. And I think you don't give up. You don't give up on anything. And
so you're saying that one day me and you actually could be a couple. That just got weird. Go ahead.
You just don't give up. You don't give up on anything in life. And I think he touched a lot of people with his story when they panned out to his daughters. It was just very touching. It motivated me. It inspired me for sure.
It was, and I'm glad you brought up his daughters, because I think that was one of the most just one of the most just emotional parts of the speech, or sentimental parts, was when he was like, my greatest responsibility, my greatest role is being a father. Obviously we know Stuart Scott for having all these titles, because he does so many things in the sports world, but it's just when he was like, being a dad is what's most important, and that's the reason I cannot leave anytime soon, is because of my daughters.
Right.
And when one of them came up there and hugged him, I was like, oh my God, I was crying. Someone next to me, they were like, Kevin, you're crying. I was like, I was trying to play it off, but got something in my eye, or the wind is blowing, but there's no wind because we were inside. So, I just cannot play it off, but just incredible.
Yeah.
Now, before we move on, is there anything else from the ESPYs that stuck out to you? Let's talk about the awards.
One thing was when Drake said something about Donald Sterling, and it panned to Blake, and he was laughing, and as soon as he saw the camera, his face just went down. He was so embarrassed.
Yeah.
So embarrassed that he was seen smiling to something surrounding the Donald Sterling situation.
Yeah.
And I thought that was great.
Oh, the crowd erupted inside when that particular thing did occur, because it was funny. You see Blake's expression before, then after, and Donald Sterling, I mean, there was a lot of jokes on him, as you would anticipate coming into this.
Yeah.
So, I just think ESPN did a really good job this year. I mean, their writing team, the skits that they came up with, Blake and Drake, I mean, it was just really brilliantly done. And I was just blessed and happy to be a part of it. And, congratulations to all the winners. Though I do believe that best team, which is like the biggest award, I do believe it should have gone to the San Antonio Spurs instead of the Seattle Seahawks. And I respect the Seahawks, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a 49ers fan, which they're division rivals. But I believe that this past year in the NBA Finals, the San Antonio Spurs epitomized team basketball. And I think that was the best team basketball. Just the facilitation of incorporating the whole team, using everybody on the team, and the fact that nobody on the team averaged more than like 18 points just shows how much ball movement had went around. And they annihilated the Miami Heat, which was just the icing on the cake.
Right.
So I don't know. That was my thought, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of annihilation and annihilating teams, the All-Star, MLB All Star festivities took on this past week as well, and Yoenis Cespedes just annihilated the home run derby. I mean, beastie. What did you think?
Completely. I mean, and he did it. This is his forte. I mean, he loves it. When he gets up in front of a crowd, in front of cameras, when the lights are on, he can do it.
Yeah.
He can bring it to the table, and he did it again. I mean, this is the second year that he's won it, second consecutively. And, I mean, 7 home runs in the final. And, I mean, it was just great. Think how tired you are. And he went back to back. The guy he was against, Bautista, did I say that right?
Yeah, Jose Bautista.
Yeah. The guy. So he chose to go second after Cespedes, which I think it would have been better for him to go first, but he didn't. Because by the time he went, the crowds had gone.
Right.
If you looked at the cameras, if you look behind everything that was going on, the stands were pretty much empty.
They were thinning out.
No one really cared anymore. They knew Cespedes had won. They got to see him do his thing, and it was great. But the crowds had cleared. So I think the energy just went down.
Yeah.
But this is just what he does. This is what he does. He's just a great player.
Absolutely.
He really is.
I 100% agree with you, Charlotte. I mean, that was a very good, assessment of it. You hit it dead on. You want us to say, and another thing,
In fact, it was 9, I think. Or in one round, he got 9 because he was going for 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But something interesting you said, is he won it consecutively because he won it last year as well, and he's the first person to actually win back-to-back home run derby since Ken Griffey Jr. The kid did it almost 20 years ago in the 90s. So it just goes to show how rare it is to accomplish such a feat. But Cespedes, like you said, he lives for the stage, the biggest stage. And, he was hitting home runs like it was drinking water.
Yeah.
Like, I swear, I could have sworn some of the home runs he hit, he was just closing his eyes and hitting them for fun,
Seriously.
He really didn't. But
it was like, I think one of them was 419, then he would go to like
Yes.
393 and 3, and it was just like, wow.
Effortless.
Wow. Yeah.
Effortless. The biggest disappointment to me in the home run derby, though, and I'm just going to say it because I'm a Dodgers fan, Yasiel Puig. Moment of silence for Yasiel Puig's home run derby appearance. Okay. Yasiel, man. What I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if he was caught up in the moment, the lights, being on that stage. But he was a letdown, to say the least, and he's one of the most, athletically gifted pure hitters and power hitters in MLB. But I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
It was disappointing.
And some people, it's a big event. I think some people just choke. And maybe that was something. Maybe the pressure got to him. Who knows?
Yeah,
and he's also on a team. He's on the National League, so I think the vibe was a little bit maybe different on that side.
That's true.
Because the American League killed it.
Oh yeah,
they really did kill it. And I think the energy might just have been different on the other side.
Energy, or who knows? Knowing Yasiel Puig, he could have been hanging out late with supermodels the night before. So that could have distracted him. Now, speaking of the American League killing it, let's go into the actual All-Star Game itself, when one of the American League's finest athletes of the last 20 years, Derek Jeter, a.k.a. the captain, was honored. Just a great moment.
It was.
Just a great moment.
It really was. And he's very humble. The interviews he did, he just wanted to get back to the game and cheer on his teammates and watch the game. He wasn't really bothered about the interview, but that just shows how much he loves the game. He just wanted to play the game and be in the moment with the game, with his teammates, with his friends, and just enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's that was his last one. He's retiring after this season, and 2 for 2. 2 for 2.
Well, 2 for 2. It's funny you say that, because there was some controversy surrounding Adam Wainwright, who is the starting pitcher for the National League, and people were wondering whether or not he was quote unquote grooving pitches to Jeter, because it was his last one. Did it look to you like he was grooving pitches to him, or?
No.
Yeah.
Until that was said, no, I didn't think so.
Yeah.
But there's always going to be haters. There was someone that shouted overrated when he went up. If you listen closely and record back, and I scrolled back probably like 4 or 5 times to make sure I heard that right. But there's always just shows.
He was probably a Red Sox fan, whoever shouted over.
It just shows how many haters there are. So there's always going to be somebody. But it was the pitcher that said that he was giving him easier pitches or whatever. I don't think, in a later interview, he said that he didn't mean to take anything away from Jeter's performance, that's not what he meant. He apologized. But I think that once you've said it, it puts the seed in everyone's head.
Exactly.
So that's a problem. But there's always going to be speculation. But no, I don't believe that.
Yeah, it's funny that someone would even come up, or they would even mention that. And sometimes in sports they just need stories, they just need controversy.
Exactly, and I think Adam Wainwright was just trying to say something to get some buzz around him.
Yeah,
because Jeter was the star. That's who people wanted to see, and he was taking the limelight way away from everyone else. But who cares? He's one of the greatest players of all time.
Yeah, clearly of all time, as you could say. And, I just want to read something real quick. Whoever said that Jeter is overrated or yelled that out, let me just read some of Jeter's career highlights and statistics. Career batting average of .311, over 3,400 hits, over 1,200 RBIs, 14 All-Star selections. 14. Not 1, not 2, not 3, 14. 5 times World Series champion, World Series MVP, Rookie of the Year, 5 times Silver Slugger Award, 5 times Golden Glove Award. Clearly, I can keep reading.
Exactly. So how somebody can say...
How is that overrated?
Yeah.
Next, is that same person going to call Michael Jordan overrated too?
Probably. I mean, it's just a typical fan,
Wow.
you know? But, well, a typical non-fan or fan of another team.
Red Sox, yeah.
But, yeah, I think he... Yeah.
I
It
don't
was
know.
his day.
It was his day. And it kind of reminded me last year when Mariano Rivera, who was also a Yankee, had that just, ceremonialist goodbye. And he came out on the field and everyone tipped their hat to them. Obviously one of the greatest closers of all time. But it was just a great moment in sports. And, the thing about Jeter is that I really respect is that when he played throughout the whole steroids era, hence his teammate Rodriguez, and he's played throughout all of that, and he's always been the one superstar that has maintained integrity throughout years in baseball when people were when players were sabotaging the game by using illegal performance enhancement drugs and things of that sort. Jeter was always like the good, wholesome, just the Major League Baseball prototype, for what you
Right.
should be as a player. So
Completely. And I'm not saying that anyone else in the league right now is doing illegal drugs. But when you look at Jeter and you take someone like Mike Trout, there's a visual big difference. There's a huge difference between the two, physicality wise. And I think
one is white and one is half black. So
well, that wasn't what I was aiming at, but shoulders, biceps, neck, the whole. I mean, Jeter looks like a normal person.
yeah.
He looks like he just has the build of a normal person.
Me and him look just alike, actually. Same build, everything. Go ahead.
But he's gone through that era and he stuck it out. He stayed true to himself. And he said in an interview that, because the commentator asked, how have you managed to, a lot of athletes get caught up, get in trouble. How have you managed to stay on track? And he said, I've learned from my mistakes. I've learned from other people's mistakes, which I think that is the best thing he said. He doesn't just learn from mistakes that he makes. He learns from mistakes that other people make. There's a lot of people coming up in sports that kind of need to take that idea. I mean, Johnny Football, he's getting so much press surrounding him that sometimes you just have to take a step back and just keep your head down. Jameis Winston, another one, that you just have to kind of do your thing and bother about yourself and not get so caught up in the other side of TV.
Absolutely.
Or sports, sorry.
Yeah. And speaking of Johnny Football, there's actually a new king that's coming back to Cleveland as well. The one, the only LeBron James. So we're going to segue to the NBA here. And speaking of learning from mistakes, like Jeter said, the one person that has definitely learned from a mistake that he made 4 years ago when deserting his team and leaving them to take his talents to South Beach. And apparently has did the ultimate redemptive thing while coming back to Cleveland is LeBron.
Do you think he made a mistake
And going
by going to the Heat?
I don't think he made a mistake. I think the mistake was made in the way that he did it.
Yes,
In the manner in which he
100%.
did it. And, and I'm not well, yeah, he's partially to blame for it. I mean, I do believe there was a lot of other people that kind of wanted to do The Decision, which was the show that ESPN documented for this. But and going back, LeBron has even professed himself that that was he would do that differently and things of that sort. So definitely a mistake. Yes.
I don't know if he sees it as a mistake because, I mean, if he goes back to Cleveland, if they win a championship, he is one step closer to becoming one of the best players of all time. So I think somewhat in his brain, he's calculated his way to knowing what to do. He went to Miami and built a championship team. If he goes back to Cleveland and does the same thing, which there's great potential for him to do that,
I would have to disagree with you a little bit. I don't believe that he went to Miami and built a professional championship team. I think he joined a team that was already a professional caliber with Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh.
yeah, it was already a great team, but they needed just one more person
I agree.
to kind of get to the next level and get to the next step. And they needed his energy, his media, all of it. They
Leadership.
needed everything from him that he brings to the table. And I think that's what he's going to take back to Cleveland. And I think there's a great chance for them to win another championship.
Now, interesting enough, he only signed a 2-year contract with them, which gives him flexibility to leave. Technically, I think next year he can opt out.
Which I don't know if that's a smart thing to do. I mean, he's getting older. The risk of injury is higher. In this amount of time, I mean, if he gets injured in the next 2 years, then what's going to happen? I think he should have signed a longer contract, but hey.
Well, the thing that I find interesting is that LeBron himself said he's not expecting Cleveland to win a championship instantaneously. He said, especially because Cleveland has all these they had, 3 of the last 4 number 1 draft picks in the last 4 years?
Right.
So they have a young
the
team.
rising stars, though.
Exactly.
They have the rising stars. Sorry, I know I'm interrupting you, but that's why I don't know why he signed a 2-year contract. It should have been for longer because looking in the long haul, he's adding to this team and building. I mean, he's the person that all those youngsters are going to look up to, and they want it. They want this, and he wants it too. So I think he's going to bring everything around, but I think the 4-year contract would have been smarter for him to be able to definitely secure a championship.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously the 2-year contract was a business move on him, but I mean, Cleveland is not going to win immediately. You still got to work in Wiggins. Kyrie Irving has pretty much already established himself as one of the top point guards in the league, but I can see them 3-4 years from now, being a dominant team,
right?
In not just the league, but the Eastern Conference, but the league as well. And speaking of the Eastern Conference, there was another huge free agent that ended up staying with his team in Carmelo Anthony. And Carmelo was going around. He was courted by several teams, Houston, L.A., quite a few teams, Chicago, I believe. And he ended up staying in New York and signed a massive contract.
Exactly. Is this, again, just another kind of publicity stunt to kind of get them more money? Do I think that? Possibly, yeah. I mean, these players know exactly what they're doing. They have teams behind them that are built to do this, to make them more money, to get them more publicity. Was this a great move for him? Yeah. Look how much money he got.
He got a lot of money, but I don't know if this move is going to guarantee him a championship in the near future. I mean, I'm looking at the New York Knicks roster going into next year, and I don't really see any. I mean, unless they plan on trying to acquire some featured free agents, I just don't know. Ultimately, if he's chasing the ring, I don't know if staying in New York was the best idea. If he's chasing the money, yes, New York.
Exactly. It depends which one he's doing right now. And I don't know if he was necessarily chasing the ring. I don't know why he wouldn't want to, but from his move, it doesn't necessarily seem like he is doing that.
Yeah.
Or from his not move.
From staying put.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. It seems like NBA free agency is one of the most talked about thing in sports every year.
Yeah.
And technically, it's on the offseason. They're already talking about now Kevin Durant's free agency in 2016 and saying there's teams right now that are starting to put things in place in order to try to acquire.
And that's exactly what Cleveland did to make room so they had enough money to get LeBron back. Exactly what they did. So they have to start early. They have to start getting rid of some people so they get enough, because someone like Kevin Durant, they need a lot of money to bring him in. So they're smart to be able to know that they got to start doing it now.
I wish, this was like 20 years ago when NBA players, superstars per se, stuck with their respective teams to win championships.
Right.
Magic, Bird, Jordan, every player, even the players that didn't get rings, like Karl Malone, John Stockton, Karl Malone did leave his last year to go to the Lakers, but at any rate, I really like that era when every player stuck with their team to build championships. Nowadays, it's like NBA players want the shortcut.
Yeah,
so they try to team up, form these super teams,
But I think that's why we're not getting players that are huge superstars anymore. I mean, Jeter, he stayed with the Yankees his whole career.
Yeah.
His whole career. And that's how you build, I think, a superstar. And somebody who is in for the long haul, who is loyal to that team. And that's what the fans want.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you got to do what's good, not just for the fans, but for the sport.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of fans, somebody had the privilege yesterday to be on a red carpet for a Nickelodeon fan show, Nickelodeon Legend Award show, correct?
It was the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Sports Awards.
The Kids' Choice Sports Awards.
Yeah. And again, it was just nice to see the athletes off the field looking nice. I mean, they were all happy, so happy to be there. But I think the main person that people were speaking about was David Beckham, because he got the first Legend Award. And do you think that that was the right person to give it to? The Legend Award, the legend of all sports. The whole sporting world, that's what he got it for. And they did a compilation of his journey, his life, his career. And I just thought it was an interesting pick. Now, this is the Kids' Choice Sports Awards. So it is coming from a kid's perspective. And David Beckham is somebody that kids love. But do you believe that that was the right pick?
You know, I'm going to be 100% honest. I have not really followed a lot of David Beckham throughout his illustrious soccer career, but it seems like I know more of David Beckham for his off the field, you know,
Right.
his endorsements, his media, for him being married to a Spice Girl, for his whole entertainment persona and personality versus his on the field.
Right.
I know he played here in the LA Galaxy, I think, for about the last 5 to 6 years.
I mean, he's played Manchester United, LA Galaxy, Real Madrid. The list goes on of the teams he's played for. He's played for the top teams, and he's tried to break it into every country. I mean, he's played in a lot of different countries. He's tried to on it and just get through his career to the best he can. He did a great job. He was the England captain, I think it was 4 times for 4 World Cups. He has a great history in his sport. But I just found it interesting that he was the one that was given this award.
Yeah, you know, and I think you made a good point. You know, it's obviously given from a kid's perspective.
Yeah.
So, you know, he could be a fan. I know kids probably, or girls probably think he's hot and things of that sort. Who knows what goes into the voting. But, you know, at the end of the day, I don't want to take anything away from his actual athletic talent. You know, obviously he is a very talented athlete. Now, were there any other? They give out a Legends Award every year, correct?
Yeah, well, this was the first Kids' Choice Sports Awards, and I thought the hilarious part was after the award, his 2 kids, well, he has 4 kids, but Cruz and Romeo went onto the stage, and they got slimed with gold slime.
Wow.
And I mean, during the halftime show, Florida Georgia Line were playing, and the kids, slime was just going over the crowd. The kids were loving it. Absolutely. I mean, what better? They're at a sports award show. It's Nickelodeon. It's a kid's dream, you know? But I thought one of my favorite parts was when Larry Fitzgerald and Earl Thomas had kind of a throwout. They were both on platforms with gunk underneath them, with slime underneath them. And it was whoever there was 3 goals, and they had to hit each 3, and they had 60 seconds. And Earl Thomas lost. He went into the dunk machine, and it was just funny. It was just hilarious. And to see them have some fun and not care about their image and about what they really think of themselves. They weren't taking themselves seriously. No one there was taking themselves too seriously. I mean, David Beckham was up there getting the Legend Award and got slimed with gold slime, and his kids were more bothered than he was. He was laughing, and one of his kids, Cruz, I mean, it looked like he was gonna cry.
Wow.
But it was just fun. It was just a really fun award show, a lot different to the ESPYs. The ESPYs is more serious, and it's more for longer speeches. I mean, David Beckham's speech was probably like 2 sentences.
Wow.
It was nothing. So it's a lot different
Do we really want to listen
feel.
to him talk longer than 2 sentences?
Well, and usually English people sound smart, and David Beckham doesn't really sound smart.
Oh, shade.
No, but he's from the north. That's where I'm from. The north is a little bit of a different accent. It doesn't make you sound like the London proper accent. But it was just fun. They were just having fun.
That is true. There's something about a British accent that sounds so sophisticated. You know, you could be the most ignorant, you could be illiterate, and you could still sound sophisticated in a British accent. Now, a quick question. Who, of all the athletes, who is one athlete you definitely wanted to see slimed?
You know what? On the red carpet, everybody's response was LeBron James. Everybody wanted him to be slimed.
Well, I could see that like 4 years ago. No?
I don't know why, but that was the overall general consensus that people want, and this is other athletes that they wanted. and Nickelodeon stars. They wanted LeBron. But they didn't see that. Maybe next year. Maybe next year. They
next
got
year?
some good slimes. They got some.
Maybe when they give LeBron the Legend Award, they'll slime him that year.
Maybe.
So we'll see. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in with us. This has been another fun edition of Black Sports Weekly, where we bring you all the sports and keep it hot for you. I'm your host, Kevin John. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at HeyKevinJohn, or on my website, it's KevinJohn.com. Beautiful Charlotte, where can they find you at?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at CharlotteB_TV or at my website, CharlotteBroadbentTV.com.
She's so phenomenal. And she has an accent. What else can you ask for? Well, thank you so much. We hope to see you guys next week, same time, same place. Peace out.
From producers Maria Menounos, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire BHL crew, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us at info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I'm your BHL announcer, Scipio. Instagram me at Planet Scipio. Thank you for tuning in.
Hollywood redefined.
The views expressed here are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.
Thanks for watching Black Hollywood Live on YouTube. For more in-depth interviews and news, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion in the comment section below here. See you soon, everyone. Bye.